Today I'm going to be talking about the dreaded dead zone. The zone we go into when we're not training hard and when we're not training easy either. We're in a nowhere land. And I see plenty of people doing it. And it's often linked to the social aspect of our training, where we train in groups, where we do science sprints and attack each other's and go for Stravas and all the rest of it, which is fun every now and then. But if you're working towards the zenith of your own personal capabilities, potentials, and talents, then the dead zone's not going to do you a whole lot of good. Let's face it. You know, it's kind of pointless. And what I'm talking about here is, let's just say if you're at Ironman, you're a 5-hour biker, you're around that sort of capacity, and you can do the mathematics yourself and stretch it out. But let's just say an average speed of 32.5, 33 kilometers in an hour for a training ride over long distances, where the pace is up and down like a yo-yo, is not going to train any energy system effectively. It's just going to do neuromuscular damage. It's going to fatigue the crap out of you. You're going to struggle to get out of bed and train tomorrow. And because training runs in arrears, in about a week's time, you're probably going to hit the wall if you continue to work this way. And many of us do work this way. We work in a constant pattern of neuromuscular fatigue and tiredness. So my point here is, if you're going to work, you need to work specifically in, let's just call them fat burning zones, where you're working easy aerobic, 70% or less. You're working aerobic threshold zones, I don't know, 85 to 88% of anaerobic threshold. And then you're working anaerobic threshold itself, and maybe a tiny little bit over that in some instances, which isn't a whole lot of point in Ironman, but still it's useful. But what isn't useful is the dead zone. Hours and hours of riding at dead zone, hours and hours of running in the dead zone. You're not teaching yourself how to increase your economy. You're not increasing your efficiency. You're not increasing your mental resilience. You're burning candles at both ends. You're fraying. You're becoming tired and fatigued. And it's pointless, right? So in terms of biking, the neuromuscular fatigue that comes from biking, what happens is we get to a point where the heart can only handle so much before it becomes fatigued. It's a muscle. It's like everything else. So we reach this point, you know, due to neuromuscular fatigue and overload, where we can't reach our threshold zones anymore. We've lost the heart rate variability, and that applies to all three sports of triathlon. Or if you're in another sport like paddling or something, and that applies there just the same way. If you overdo the dead zone, you will end up with a suppressed heart rate. Same thing. If you did anaerobic threshold every day, you'd end up in a suppressed heart rate zone very quickly. So the point is, train hard, train medium, where you're reaching upper aerobic levels, where you're training your upper aerobic threshold zone, and you're training in the easy fat burning zones. Now, people say that's an old model, and I say, what a lot of kibosh. It still flies, right? If you do your volume at low intensity, and then you do your specific strength work and your specific blocks at increasing your aerobic threshold efficiency, and then you do your threshold, your litmus paper touch up of threshold work to put the icing on the cake, then you're doing all you can do. The dead zone's just robbing you. You've got to put the ego on ice, because the ice is robbing you of your potential. It robs you of your talent. It robs you of the possibility. It puts a limitation on you. It puts a limitation on you physically that you can't feel creeping up, because you're going out every day and you're training in the group and it's great fun. And then all of a sudden, boom, you go to do a track session, you can't reach anaerobic threshold. You're 15 beats under it. You get on the erg to knock out your normal power, and you've got 15% less power than you normally got. You've got 15% less heart rate variability than you've normally got. Then everything's gone to water. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that the program will come apart at the seams if you continue to train like this. So socially, great. You either agree with your friends on what the session is and you complete that session together as a squad, which is great fun too. And then you've still got the social aspect, or you train alone, or you limit yourself to a small percentage of social group training rides and training runs that you're doing together for fun, not for the purchase of, you know, the end point of your goals or realizing your talents and your potentials. And to some degree, I've got a fair background in swim coaching. I can tell you that if you're always swimming in a squad at someone else's pace, then you're never going to develop your own. And then in every race you go into, you're always going to have that seed of doubt that rides on the back of your curtain and tells, I don't actually know what I'm capable of swimming on my own, because I never swim on my own. I only swim in a group. Now, interestingly, when you put people in open water and you take them away from the pool environment, I've seen it again and again that swim times drop rapidly. So there needs to be some aspect of solo swimming. There needs to be some aspect of solo running. There needs to be some aspect of solo biking. Why? Awareness. Because when other people are around us, we're projecting to other people. We're judging ourselves based on other people. We're measuring ourselves against other people. We're looking at other people's form. We're not looking internally. We're not using our instincts. We're not training our own racing nous. We're using somebody else's. And somebody else's journey won't help you with yours. That's the bottom line. So it's about kind of becoming maybe a little selfish in terms of your own training. And even in a training squad where yes, we want the training squad to infect each other with better and better performances. But if you put your oxygen mask on first, you serve yourself first towards your own training goals, and your performance gets better, then you're infecting the rest of the group with the same infectious improvements, developments. And that's what the group needs most. It doesn't need your social participation all the time. If you want something to grow, you've got to pour some water on it. Thanks for listening.